Friends, we gather together this afternoon to celebrate the life and to honor the memory of Bunny O'Donnell. Bunny's family so very much appreciates your presence here with them this afternoon, which offers them a great deal of comfort and support. Adonai ma'adam v'teda ehu ben enosh v'chashvehu. O Lord, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and we go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, in the evening it fades and it withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, "Return, you mortal creatures." Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. The author of the Bible's 150 Psalms, in the first of those Psalms, expresses for us the nature of the good life and the fruits of that life. Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, nor taken the path of sinners, nor joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of God is their delight, and they study that teaching day and night. They are like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose foliage never fades, and whose fruit always flourishes. Let us take comfort together now in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. From Psalm 121. Esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. I lift mine eyes unto the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. Yea, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The moon will not strike you by day, nor the sun by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Kohelet, the author of the biblical book of Ecclesiastes, reminds us that for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember Bunny O'Donnell. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, Bunny too shall live, for she is now always a part of us as we remember her. Bunny O'Donnell, whom everybody knew as Bunny, died early this past Friday morning at the age of 80. Her death, which was completely unexpected, shocked all who knew and who loved her. We are still reeling from her passing, but today we gather to celebrate her life and to celebrate all that she meant to us. Bunny was born and raised in Cleveland. She graduated from John Adams High School, where she belonged to a sorority. She wanted to go to college, but alas, her family could not afford to send her. She took courses in business at John Carroll University, did that for 2 years, and then at the age of 19, she married Mike Portnick. Bunny and Mike opened a trendy ladies' apparel store called Poison, Poise-N, Poison Ivy, and the business thrived for several years. After a 2-year sojourn in Columbus, Ohio, she and Mike and their family moved back to Cleveland, where Bunny took a position as executive secretary for the vice president of the Highland Group, a job that she held for several years. In 1979, Bunny met a dapper young man, Neil O'Donnell, and she was taken by his charm and by his good looks, and especially by the image of those yellow pants, white shirt and shoes, and camel-colored sport coat that Neil was wearing when they first met. Neil and Bunny were married in 1986, and their union of more than 30 years brought enormous happiness and joy to both of them. Earlier in their relationship, Neil and Bunny decided that she should come to work with Neil at his firm, O'Donnell and Company. Quickly, Bunny was put in charge of the financial planning seminars that Neil conducted monthly. Neil told me when I met with him and with Lisa and Andrea this past Tuesday afternoon that Bunny was, and I quote him, a fabulous businesswoman, end quote. She created the firm's publicity booklets and put those seminars together expertly, covering all the bases. Aside from the many logistical matters that Bunny handled with such skill, she had wonderful interpersonal skills as well. She would greet everyone who attended the seminars with a warm and inviting smile. She eagerly renewed the acquaintance of those she had met before. In other words, Bunny was, for almost 3 decades, an integral part of the business and of its great success. And she was so proud of the fact that O'Donnell and Company achieved the status as the #1 planning firm with all the companies they worked with, having produced more business than any other of their competitors. At this point in our conversation this past Tuesday, I asked Neil and Lisa and Andrea to tell me more about Bunny's personal qualities. What other attributes did she possess that helped her to make her such a success in the work she did for the firm, in her other endeavors, and in her relationships with people? And to my questions about Bunny, a profusion of adjectives poured forth from them. Bunny, they told me, was charismatic, charming, sensitive, insightful, determined, knowledgeable, warm, humble, open, down to earth, and non-judgmental. She was, in addition, they said, sophisticated, but never condescending, and a person without a mean bone in her body. When she entered a room, she lit it up. She filled our hearts, Neil and Lisa and Andrea told me. She cared about other people, and other people cared about her. Take the building in which she and Neil lived, for example. All the employees at Acacia, I'm told, loved her and would go out of their way to help her. And when they didn't see Bunny or Neil for several days at a time, they would call to check on them to be sure that they were all right. And Bunny could, and she would, stand up for her values. She didn't, for example, tolerate vulgar comments or jokes at other people's expense. And she was direct and emphatic about it. Please don't use that language around me, she would insist. Bigotry, vulgarity, intolerance. She had no use for them at all, and she wouldn't delay in telling others if the lines of morality and manners were crossed. Indeed, she had a strong ethical code, and she thought about others first and then herself second. And she reached out to others with a generosity of spirit. Her capacity to love extended as well to her love of flowers, especially orchids, which she cultivated in her veranda garden. In addition, Bunny was always stylish, always meticulous about how she looked. She loved to get her hair and her nails done, to dress up, and to look sharp. And Bunny's grandchildren were an especially huge part of her life. She would shop with them, travel with them. When growing up, they would sleep over at her house, and throughout the years regularly talk on the phone. And Bunny and her grandchildren were involved in each other's celebrations. I myself interacted with Bunny several times over the years. We came together for her family's happy occasions and for her family's sad occasions. And during these encounters, I came to see Bunny's wonderful qualities firsthand. Her warmth and her easy ability to reach out and connect with others. I witnessed her sense of gratitude for her many blessings. I especially saw Bunny's great love for you, Neil, for her children, and for her precious grandchildren. She had a certain dignity about her and a captivating gentleness. It was always a pleasure for me to see her and to be in her presence. Bunny is survived by her husband of 32 years, Neil, by her children, Lisa, Andrea, and Darren, by her stepchildren, Kevin and Kelly, by her son-in-law, Michael, her stepson-in-law, David, and her stepdaughter-in-law, Lori, by her grandchildren, Danielle, Sarah, Justin, and Hunter, by her sister-in-law, Beverly, by her nieces and nephews, David and Amy, and Stephen and Lee. Bunny was predeceased by her parents, Harry and Pearl, and by her brother, Corky. Bunny O'Donnell lived a full life. She raised her children, enjoyed a rich and fulfilling marriage with Neil, contributed significantly to a thriving business, and lived to see the flourishing of her grandchildren. Those who loved and admired Bunny O'Donnell will never forget her. Zichrona livracha. Her memory will always be our blessing. Amen. I now want to call on several people who will reflect upon the life, the qualities, the accomplishments of Bunny O'Donnell. First of all, a family friend, Duncan McGuffey.
Very good. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's my great honor to be asked by Neil and the entire O'Donnell Portnick family to just take a few moments to share some thoughts from the over 25-year relationship that I've had the privilege and the pleasure of sharing with Bunny and her entire family. I feel like they are family of my own, and I think that many of you here today probably feel the same way. They're not just friends. They're not just great people. They are people that get in your heart, and that really starts with Bunny. You know, I met Bunny and Neil about 26 years ago. I was a starting off sales guy in the securities business, and one of my direct competitors, and Neil knows who this person is, had the bad error of mentioning O'Donnell and Company as one of his top clients. And so we pursued their business, difficult as it was, because Bunny, although she was a great business partner, she was also a great gatekeeper. Thankfully for me, the day that I showed up at their office right at the end of business, Lisa was at the front desk. Lisa, not quite as tough as her mother. So did a great job also, though, and contributed a lot to that business along with Kevin and the rest of the team. So we started a journey 26 years ago, and I do want to additionally confirm the status of O'Donnell and Company, and it's not really just all about business, but for those of you that knew of their incredible success, they truly were the best in the business. There's no question. That's not just Cleveland, that's not just Ohio, that's the entire industry. I had a boss at one time who was formerly an actuary, and they're very kind of mild-mannered, and he had become the president of our securities company, and he just kept seeing the name O'Donnell and Company and O'Donnell and Company and O'Donnell and Company. And one day he called me up and he said, "Your client, Neil O'Donnell, is the first person in our company's history to pass $100 million in client assets, and I'd like to meet him." And that was the president of our company. So I'll share a side story just to put a little bit of light. We said, well, that would be great, and this guy was quite intimidated by coming out to meet the folks at O'Donnell and Company. So we agreed to meet downtown at the Ritz-Carlton at the Concierge Lounge, and Gordon Bornow, who Neil and Bunny had the opportunity to travel to Vienna, Austria. We were in Paris together. We were in London together. We've been all over the United States at major due diligence programs. This guy was literally shaking in his boots as he pulled up to the Ritz-Carlton and said, "Where are we going?" And I said, "Well, we're going upstairs to have lunch with the folks from O'Donnell and Company." He was quite intimidated. He had a beautiful piece of crystal that he brought out, though, and he passed it over to Neil and to Bunny and to Kevin and to the team and said, "On behalf of our company, that was really a startup when you gave us the opportunity to do business, I want to thank you on behalf of 1,200 employees now and hundreds of clients that you have invested with us and have done very well. Thanks to your guidance, I want to thank you and I want to recognize your accomplishment." And this guy was truly in awe of Neil and Bunny and the entire O'Donnell and Company. And as we exited after a lovely lunch, and Neil was as gracious as could be, and Bunny was grateful and very complimentary and trying to make my boss comfortable, the doors opened in the Concierge Lounge, and now I'm pulling, Barry Manilow stepped out of the elevator, who was appearing at the Q that night. And we said, "Hi, Barry," just because you do when you see Barry Manilow. Barry turned to us and said, "Hi, guys, how you doing?" It was very quiet in the elevator all the way down, but I think this guy literally was wondering, and then removed out as the cars pulled up. He said, "Neil, how do you know Barry Manilow?" So I think that's the kind of fun experiences that we've all shared over the years. Great experiences, lots of wonderful places. But when I think of Bunny, I think of two things. Barbara O'Donnell, elegant, smart, sophisticated, stylish, Barbara. And then Bunny O'Donnell. And I always wondered, was that a childhood name, or was that a name that Neil had given her along the way, or was that just who she was? And if you looked at Bunny, soft, lovely, beautiful, cuddly, I'd even say, Neil. And just a wonderful, wonderful person. 25 years And every single time that we were together felt like the best time that we had ever had together. In the last few years, we've had the opportunity to have dinner together up the street and actually in their beautiful home at Acacia. Always welcoming me no matter what time of day or night, no matter what the weather was, always making time for an out-of-town traveler. I live in Detroit, but Cleveland really feels like a second home because of my love and my relationship with Neil and Bunny O'Donnell. I will say something about them. They are the most in love couple that I ever saw. And I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking in the room. And I'm seeing a few couples' heads shaking in the room. Never saw two people that were more in love with each other, more affectionate to each other, more caring for each other. And I'll tell you, that is a lesson from afar, and that is something that we'll also take, not just having Bunny in our hearts as we go forward for the rest of our lives, but really having the example of that love and what love can really be. She was a beautiful, classy, stylish, smart, funny, strong person. I also want to recognize the generosity of Bunny and Neil, and Bunny in particular, and her heartfelt generosity. They were not only financially generous to many people. I have numerous examples that I saw of friends and family members and former associates that were looking for an opportunity to come back to Cleveland and kind of get back on the track. And nobody that I've seen in my life has ever been more generous to people that meant something to them than the O'Donnells. They bent over backwards. In many cases, the love was reciprocated, and I hate to say it, in some cases it wasn't. But they never changed because of that. They had love deep in their heart. They are incredibly generous people. And I do think that she is a person that will always be in our hearts every day, all the time. So I want to thank Bunny for 26 years in my life, for 80 years in many of your lives. I knew Corky. I had the pleasure of knowing their father, what a wonderful gentleman he was. And so as I was thinking on the drive over from Detroit this morning, too many memories to count. They'll continue to come back as we go forward. But the shock of getting that call from Neil, I think probably was the same experience. It can't be the same pain, but to hear such shocking news that such a vibrant, loving, wonderful, energetic person, incredibly young person for age 80, which is not old today, but what a young person, what a young spirit, what a with it person, always there, always funny, always insightful, knowing what's going on. What an absolute gift Bunny O'Donnell was to all of us. And so I'm grateful, and I want to express my love to Bunny. I will certainly miss her. I'll miss our great times together. Neil and the O'Donnell family and the Portnick family, and my friendship and love will continue. But it'll never be quite the same without Bunny. She was the glue that held it all together. She was the one that everybody looked to as the most important person in the room, although she never made herself the most important person in the room. A truly unique, beautiful person that we will all miss dearly. I'm so grateful in the bottom of my heart to have known her for as long as I did. I'm only sorry that we won't know her any longer than we did, but we will always know her in our hearts. Her smiling, beautiful spirit will always be with us. God bless Bunny O'Donnell. God bless Barbara O'Donnell, the classiest, funniest, softest, most wonderful person that I've known in my life. And we'll miss her dearly, but we'll never forget her. God bless Bunny, and thank you for being here today. And Neil, thank you for the privilege and the honor of commenting on a person that I love dearly, but I am confident every person here and many people that are not here today love very, very dearly. God bless Bunny.
Now I want to call on Bunny's daughter, Andrea.
Good afternoon. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you from the bottom of my heart, as well as for my family, for the love and support that all of you have shown us during this very, very difficult time. And to the rabbi for a very eloquent eulogy, and as well to Duncan for the words, the kindness, and the depth of love that he has shown to our family and to especially my mother. While she may not physically be here, her spirit will never ever die. It is eternal. I just have a short poem that I wanted to share, and it goes like this. If I could have a wish come true, if I could have a wish come true, a dream that come to pass, I'd ask to spend a day with you and pray that it would last. I'd run to you and hold you close. We'd laugh and smile again. I'd listen so intently as you told me how you've been. When time was up, I'd hold you close, not wanting to let go. You'd smile and tell me, see you soon, and somehow I would know that while it's very hard to wait, one day the time will come. I'll join you there forevermore when I too am called home. My wish may go ungranted, but it always will be true. I'd trade many of my tomorrows for one yesterday with you. And that poem was written by Kelly Polly. There are no words that can even really describe my mother. And my hope is to take every bit of happiness that she exuded in her life and carry that out into the world for the rest of my days. Amen.
And I want to call on Bunny's nephew, David. David and Stephen.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric world life. It means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, Doctor, everything's going to be all right. Instead of asking him how much time of yours is left, ask him how much of your mind is. Because in this life, things are much harder than in the afterworld. In this life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy and punch a higher floor. Prince and the Revolution. Probably not Aunt Bunny's favorite band out there, but a moment that has been just resonated in my mind that I go back, where I saw my aunt while this song was playing, and she was with my father, and on a spontaneous moment, the two of them were dancing to this song. And I recall that she had this smile on her face, and her hair was dancing around the room. And when I heard the shock that she was gone, that was the first memory that I thought of. She was a Renaissance lady, for sure. She was an Aries, like many in this room, and a trailblazer. I remember her as a golfer, as a tennis player, a cook. She was one of the first that definitely married outside of the religious circles, which gave us all just new doors to walk through and new lives to experience. I think that, when people talk about her as being classy and not a bad bone in her body, I think that way about her. She had panache. And if there was one word that I would put on her mausoleum, that's what it would be. if I may, Neil, I sent Aunt Bunny and Uncle Neil an email. Just this past August is when it was. And talking with my brother, we both share the same feelings about my aunt and my uncle. And I was wondering if it'd be okay, I'll read that email to you. Dear Uncle Neil J. and Aunt Bunky, I miss and love you guys and look forward to the next time we see you. One thing you should know is that you have had a profound effect on my direction and successes in life. I remember going to college in Texas really with not that much direction. And during that time, I reflected on the love that both of you gave to everyone. And that's really hard to find. I had my first Christmas at your house next to John Carroll University, and an entire new world opened up for me. Your success drove me, and both of your support and words of encouragement during those formidable years were the glue and foundation for me to grow from a divorced family. What a wonderful time that was, and I look fondly on that time in reflection. Uncle Neil J., you are the wealthiest man that I know. Reflecting back on Aunt Bunny and the lyrics of Prince, there is a lyric in there that actually does remind me of her. And in a world of never-ending happiness, you can always see the sun, day or night. And I think that there's a reason why the sun is shining here in Cleveland today.
My brother David, Duncan, wonderful words as well. My brother and I were talking over the last couple of days, and as he made the comment of us growing up in a divorced family, it was Bunny and Neil that we felt the core, the nucleus of what a family looks like, what a family could look like. Growing up, we grew up in Texas, and it was always such a treat to come to Cleveland, believe it or not, because of the family. And to spend a couple weeks out of the summer here, to spend the holidays here, and as my brother mentioned, that the first Christmas that we experienced was at Neil and Bunny's house. And the warmth and the love that we shared, always smiles, always laughs. I don't recall my aunt ever being in a bad mood. And if she was, it was extremely rare. I feel a big part of who shaped my brother and I growing up was our aunt and uncle. The strength that they always showed us, and the fortitude and what it meant to be together and be here for each other. I recall one time I came to Cleveland myself. I was young, and they wanted to take me to a Cleveland Indians game. And I don't think Bunny heard or knew that I heard her say to Neil, "Make sure you get good tickets." And he looked at her and said, "What do you think I am? We're not going to sit in the cheap seats, honey. Don't worry." And sure enough, we were on the first or second row. And these are the experiences that my brother and I had growing up and being part of the Cleveland family. And there were several years that I would call my aunt every Friday driving home. I had a 30 to 40 minute drive, And it not planned, it just kind of came that way. And whenever we missed some Fridays, she would send me a text and say, we missed this Friday. Let's make sure we don't miss next Friday. And just her exuberance of life. I recall her sharing many stories of just her watching Oprah and what she took from Oprah and the positive influence and the positive activity in her life really carried over. And again, the influence that our aunt had on us, our aunt and uncle, not only carries through our lives, but I feel these are some of the traits that I'm able to pass on to my children from what we have gotten here in Cleveland and what we will always have and continue to have. I thank everyone for being here with us for the family. Thank you, Rabbi.
O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, your love remains to comfort us and to give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things obey. Our life is a dance to a song that we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then it seems to cease. Whence the melody and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life and the answer to all of life's mysteries. Will you please rise now for the El Mole Rachamim? El Mole Rachamim Shochem Bam Romim, Hamtse Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kadoshim Utahorim Kazohar Harakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Bela Bat Hershel Upnina Shahacha La'olama Bala Rachamim Yastire Baseter Kanafav La'olamim V'yitzror Bitzrah Chayim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al-Mishkava V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Barbara Bunny O'Donnell, our loved one who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say together, Amen. Will you please be seated? I want to announce that the family of Bunny O'Donnell will receive friends in the community room at Acacia, 2202 Acacia Park Drive, Building 2. And they will receive friends today after our interment service and until 8 o'clock tonight. Our service will continue now in the mausoleum at the Hillcrest Cemetery. Once again, thank you so much on behalf of the family for being with us today. Your presence gives us a great deal of comfort and support.